What's going on, Dope fam? Back with another video. Hope you guys have been doing well. For today's video, I'm going to go through on why I really think that Bitcoin's bottom has been just put in. I really do think that August will actually end up being green and most likely will be a leg up to the upside to that 150k range I've been telling you guys about. For liquidations, we just had massive liquidations over the weekend, and I do think this is a massive bottoming formation, and we just had that early month of August flush. We actually hit nearly about over $900 million in long liquidations, with actually getting $1 billion day, which in my opinion is a massive inflection point, and I'll go through a number of reasons why I really do think Bitcoin bottom is in. First of all, I'm Dope Oxide. I make content on YouTube, X, and CoinMarketCap, so be sure to follow those pages, and let's get right into it. First of all, for liquidations, has definitely fallen off since the weekend. So on Friday, we had a massive liquidation event. I didn't make a video then, but as you guys can see, we hit just over $1 billion in total liquidations. And I've always told you guys, when it comes to liquidations, if we hit $750 million or more than likely that is an inflection point, and we can at least see a relief bounce to either the upside or downside depending where the direction was. So in this case, it was massive long liquidations. So I did expect at least a bounce to the upside, which we are currently having right now. As you guys can see, Bitcoin is bouncing quite hard today. And if you guys are wondering why we dumped so much on the crypto side, the stock market had a massive puke. And I told you guys, look, if we do see a rejection and a breakdown of this massive trend line that we've been since pretty much the tariff panic during April, we do expect downside to continue. So as you guys can see, we broke down, had a massive flush to the downside. Let me just change that to yellow. And yeah, so my two scenarios, my original scenario was actually consolidating sideways from July. And as you guys can see, we broke out to the upside, but now we've actually broken down and we've gone right back into that bull flag. And let me just clean the chart too, because it's getting quite dirty. But as you guys can see from my last video, I did expect once this trend line gets broken down, this green trend line here, we can expect a massive flush. So we got that massive flush, which I'll just delete that now because there's no need to show it again. As you can see, with that flush, we actually went down to our original bull flag, and we're actually breaking out above once again. So if we do see a confirmation and a daily close above this is the futures market, so we still have to wait for tonight, at least for my hours. And if we do have a daily close above, it's looking like the low is already being put in place, and it was just a really good way of getting sentiment fully reset. Of course, the stock market, it's been quite euphoric. It's been pretty much up only since the tariff news came out, and people were just heavily panicking since April. So of course, pullbacks are to be expected, and they're totally healthy. The shallow pullback is definitely bullish and was to be expected because of this trend line breakdown. But when it comes to crypto, of course, crypto is looking quite good right now. Ethereum to Bitcoin is still ranging. Of course, with this Bitcoin flush, you do expect Ethereum to Bitcoin to actually break down, but we technically haven't broken down yet. We're actually consolidating sideways just like we were back in May. So it's looking like this is inevitably going to break out to the upside eventually. We might have a scam week above this consolidation, then another scam week down below, but I do expect the end result will be hitting that target of the 0.04 key region, which will of course pump out alt bags, pump out base native bags, etc. So next up for Bitcoin, let me just change to the daily time frame. I really want to see this trend line to get reclaimed, the 117 key level. Reason being is this has been our resistance since pretty much back of 2017, our like 2 bull cycles ago, which is absolutely massive. And as you guys can see, we've actually broken down below. Technically on the log chart, we're actually staying it back above it. But for the linear price, I definitely want to see a reclaim of this chart as soon as possible. So I want to get above pretty much the 116.8k region. And if we do get a daily close back above, it's pretty much our confirmation that the bottom is in. We've flushed enough people out, and the late longers have been absolutely destroyed, and more than likely we're going to have a massive short squeeze to the upside. Reason why I'm actually so bullish as well is, like, look, if you go to the liquidations for Ethereum as well as for Bitcoin, we just had so many liquidations to the downside, and in my opinion, there really isn't much left to go. So as you guys can see on the 3-day, we just absolutely destroyed and flushed out all the late longers. There is a little bit of 111. Let's see if we have another tap below down there. But as you guys can see, bright yellow, bright green right above us, all the way up to that 120k region. And for Ethereum, it's actually looking even better. We've taken out pretty much all of the liquidations below us. There literally isn't anything left below 3,300. And we just have so many liquidations up at that 3,900 level. So it's really looking like 4k is the target for this month at the very minimum. And if we look at the Ethereum to USD chart, basically if we do hit 4K, that is going to be our next major resistance point. Let's see if we cut through it like butter, or have I think it's a pentatop, because technically we've touched it so many times. Like, let me just go to my drawing. So we have one touch. You can sort of count this one as a second, 3, 4, and then if you want to count this one as a 5, we have major resistance. This tells me more than likely we're going to break through that 3.9k region. And let's just see how Ethereum interacts with that 4.1 key region. I do suspect we're probably going to break through like butter, but of course no confirmations as of yet. But my expectations are for Ethereum to at least hit the 3.9k key region. And once that is broken, I do expect a resistance test of that 4.1 key level. Next up for Total 3. So Total 3 was still going through that ABC correction. Looks like we had a deeper pullback than we thought. This was the arbitrary line. Let me just get rid of this one. This was the arbitrary line I made from last video. And of course, it looks like that pullback actually went more shallow than I originally thought. It's still technically an ABC correction. Our invalidation is definitely going down below our consolidation phase we actually broke out since 11th of July. If we see the Total 3 chart break down below this, so the 856 billion, I would count this as a deviation, which is very bearish because that means continuation to the downside is very likely. But of course, no reason to be bearish here because we're still holding it. Invalidation has not been hit. And really, this just looks like to me a ABC correction. Of course, an ABC correction is basically just a 3-wave move. So let me just draw it out for you guys. So you got A, B, and now C. And ideally now we have an impulse move to the upside. And technically this could actually be a 5-wave move. So this could be our 1, now wave 2, and possibly the strongest wave in a 5-wave Elliott wave. So the third wave is technically about to come up if this breakout is to be confirmed. This breakout will be confirmed if the Total 3 chart actually breaks out that 1.02 trillion area. And I will update you guys if that is to be the case. Stock market starts trading in about 10 hours or so. And as you guys can see, the futures actually tested that bull flag. And really, this just tells me, especially because we just broke out above it once again, there is a lot of bulls and a lot of buyers stepping in. And if we do get that daily close around that 6.3k key region, I really do think the correction is already over. And Monday, Tuesday will be quite bullish for the stock market as well as crypto. And really, there isn't much else to say. I do think the bottom has been placed. It's the 4th of August right now, and I do think this liquidation event we just had was a start of the month flush, and really most likely August will be up only from here. Bitcoin will break out, and I really still do think that Bitcoin all-time highs is to come for the remainder of his bull cycle, and I also really do think that Ethereum has another chance to get back over the 4K key region, which will of course help our base native coin bags. Next up is Toshi. We have a massive update for you guys. If you guys missed it, Toshi actually got listed on Binance Alpha pretty much like 3 days ago. And if I go to the tweet, basically the verdict is Toshi just got listed on Binance Alpha. And if you guys are asking, what does this mean? What is Binance Alpha? Binance Alpha is basically the preliminary way of getting listed to Binance.com. And I do expect Binance to actually list Toshi eventually. And looking back at previous coins, especially like Virtuals, AIXBT, and other coins that got listed this bull cycle, it takes about 2 months to actually get listed on Binance.com after the coin is already listed on Binance Alpha. So let's see where we go for that, but it's looking quite bullish because, yeah, like Toshi's already listed on Binance Alpha. Nearly like $1 million worth of Toshi got airdropped to the Binance Alpha users, and we did not dump. It just tells me people are stepping in, buyers are stepping in, and I really do think for the remainder of this month at least, people will be pricing in the possibilities of a Binance.com listing. And I do think if Toshi actually makes new highs, and more than likely for this month, the 7.6 key region will be broken and Toshi will be well on its way to all-time highs, especially if we do get that Binance.com listing. But basically, the verdict is after this Binance Alpha listing, Toshi has actually increased their chances of getting a Binance.com listing. Of course, that is the end game. We have more listings coming up, in my opinion. I reckon they will get OKX, Robinhood, etc. eventually. But this is pretty much the foot in the door that Toshi can actually get Binance.com. It's no bullshit. It can actually get it done. It's no copium, no hopium. Toshi is obviously speaking to the Binance team. This required a deal to actually speak with them. And in my opinion, it just means Binance is really keeping an eye on Toshi's performance right now. And I really do think if Toshi performs well for the remainder of this month, it pretty much is a checkbox in Binance's list that Toshi deserves a listing. And it just tells me with that $1 million airdrop, of course, I don't know the exact amounts, but I believe around $1 million got airdropped to the Binance Alpha users. especially with that airdrop and obviously a massive distribution event a couple of days ago. We didn't dump. We actually went sideways. And if I go exactly down to the 1 hour, the alpha listing and alpha airdrop happened pretty much in between, like, pretty much the 31st of July to the 2nd of August, and we basically didn't dump at all. We just went sideways. We had a distribution phase, and once those sellers stepped out and the buyers started stepping in, we pumped, and now we're consolidating once again. And I do think that key 6-4 key region will actually get reclaimed this week, and if we do see a reclaim, look, the next level target is really that 7-6 key region, and because we tested that again, and it's probably the third time we'll be testing it, more than likely that will be broken, and we can head to that 0.001 key region and deleting a 0, which would be absolutely massive. But yeah, that's all to say. It's just super bullish on Toshi. I've always been bullish to you guys on Toshi, and I really do think that Toshi can head to the multiple billion range, and this just confirms to me that it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when Toshi gets listed on Binance.com, and really you guys shouldn't be missing out on the possible chances of a listing. If you guys aren't already accumulating Toshi, this is the time. It's already in the dip. As you guys can see, the Bollinger Bands for the 3 days actually compressing. And as you guys can see, every time it's compressed, we've had a massive move to the upside. So as you can see, every time Bollinger Band squeeze, we went up, squeeze, we went up, squeeze. Now we're just waiting for that up move. And more than likely, that would be an indicative move that more than likely Toshi will head to that $1 billion range. And I really do think that outperformance checkmark that Binance more than likely requires is going to be ticked, and more than likely Binance.com will list Toshi. But basically, you guys really need to start accumulating because Toshi is the face of Base. More than likely Binance will be listing Toshi, and massive upside is to continue for the cat coin. Next up is Income Sharks. So of course, Income Sharks is a massive bull on Bitcoin. He just shows here the bears had their 3 days of shouting, which was over the weekend. Bulls need to wait until Monday before they can start pounding their chests again, but so far it's following the plan perfectly. So he actually expected a massive retracement to that key trend line, and looks like we have. We bounced off it. Now we're looking like we want to consolidate and actually make our way up, which is quite bullish because it just means the bottom is in. More than likely the bottom for Ethereum is in, and our base native token assets can really start grinding to the upside. Next up is by CryptoFi. Ethereum is breaking out the lower time frame resistance in confluence of RSI, looking very good so far. As you guys can see, the RSI has been trending down. We've been consolidating, and now we actually broken out. This implies buyers are stepping in and are actually starting to gain control. We're going back above major resistance level, and really we want to see a support resistance flip. So this has been tested as resistance, but it looks like we're broken back above, and I want to see Ethereum break above, test that support, and then continuation to occur. Next up, once again, is by CryptoFi. So this just backs my statement on why I really think the bottom is in. I think we nailed it, boys. Ethereum update. Already pretty much hit my worst case scenario. Liquidity is now very dry to the downside. So this goes back to what I was saying about the liquidation heat map. I'll refresh it once again. Basically, there really isn't anyone else to liquidate. There is obviously still a little bit amount, but look, like if you compare it to the upside, it looks like to me market makers are going to make a hell of a lot of money squeezing to the upside, squeezing out all those late shorters and those bears. And that just pretty much tells me if August is the month of 4K Ethereum and more than likely all-time highs for Bitcoin. And once again, by CryptoFi, Ethereum monthly is breaking out, don't fade it. So as you guys can see, the MACD is actually flipping upwards, which just tells me we have at least a few months of bullish continuation for Ethereum. And that just tells me Ethereum has a really good chance of hitting 7K and beyond, which will of course really pump our base native token bags like Toshi, etc. Next up, once again by Income Sharks, the stock market threw all the bang news it could in the same week. FOMC, end of the month volatility, tariffs, job reports, even a nuclear submarine. All we got is a retest of the breakout. Horizontal is still good, diagonal is still good. So this just tells me, like, look, the bears are running out of excuses to dump the price. There's not enough narratives to actually dump the price even more than this. And this just tells me, like, really, paying this to the upside, there isn't enough bad news to dump the market even more. And the worst cases have already been set out in place. And in my opinion, August will be a really green month and stock market highs will continue. And of course, Bitcoin and Ethereum. Next up is by Blunt's Capital. This really helps our altcoin bag. So of course, he actually thinks that the Bitcoin bounce is over for the Bitcoin dominance, and he thinks it continues to a fresh low from here. So as you guys can see, it's really looking like it's a bear flag, and bear flags usually always continue to the downside or where it came from. So of course, the bear flag, it came from the upside, so it's more than likely going to exit from the upside as well, which will mean that we're probably going to head to a low 50% Bitcoin dominance region, which will be absolutely massive for our base bags, massive for your altcoin bags, massive for Ethereum, etc. And I really do think continuation is to occur, because it's really looking like, to me, Bitcoin dominance is breaking down and it's looking quite bearish. Of course, a bearish Bitcoin dominance chart basically means that altcoins will start gaining strength against Bitcoin. And yeah, so that's all to the video, guys. If you guys like the video, like and subscribe. Be sure to comment down below if you guys want me to cover any other content pieces, or if you are really excited for Toshi in general, as well as other base native coins like Alien Base, because I really do think with Toshi pumping and Toshi actually having possibilities of getting listed on Binance.com, that's really going to open the narratives that other base native tokens can actually get listed on Binance.com, which of course help liquidity flow into base chain, because there will be more speculation. But also be on the lookout too, because the DEX integration for base chain is actually releasing sometime either this week or next week. So I'll be covering that update. And of course, that would be absolutely massive for base chain, because that just means Coinbase retail app users will be able to purchase any base native token assets on base chain. But yeah, so that's all to the video, guys. Have a good one. Have a good day. Peace.